from the two different creation stories, we discover what's known as the Four Harmonies. The Four Harmonies, remembering that harmony is another word for peaceful, the Four Harmonies are the sorts of relationships that God intended us to have. So God intended for us to have harmonious or peaceful relationships with God, within ourselves, with each other, and with the rest of creation. So God created us with this intention. We know this from different moments in the two creation stories. So from the priestly creation story, remember priestly is the 7 days of creation, and also from the Yahwist creation story, Yahwist being the one that focuses more on Adam and Eve. In order to develop a peaceful relationship with God, we need to first recognize that God is our creator. God is almighty and powerful. Think of some times in the creation stories where we see this. We also need to recognize that God created everyone with love. God understands us all and we can never hide anything from him. So our relationship with God is open, it's loving, but we also recognize God's power. In order to create a peaceful relationship with God, we need to form a relationship with him. Think of some ways people can do this. One example is by praying. Praying brings us closer to God. The second relationship I'm going to be talking about is about having a relationship with yourself. So God also created people with the intention that they would be at peace with themselves. This takes a bit of work to get to. So being peaceful with yourself, being harmonious, means that we recognize God created us with love, with our individual gifts. So once we realize that we are unique, that we are made out of love, we will then have the power to love others, to do good things in the world, and to behave more godlike. So part of having a peaceful relationship with ourselves is having self-understanding, so understanding ourselves inside and out, and also respecting ourselves. So we need to be able to respect ourselves before others respect us. So it's about working on this relationship with ourselves. So think of some examples of ways that we can have a peaceful relationship with ourselves. One way would be to treat ourselves with self-respect. So looking after our bodies, and looking after our health and well-being. God also created us, or created all people, in harmony with each other. So this is something we can see in the world that isn't happening, but also within our smallest social groups. So a part of having peaceful and respectful relationships with each other is recognizing that everyone is made in the image of God. Everyone is made with dignity. So we need to realize that just like we're created with dignity and we're created as sacred and special, everyone else is too. So we need to see each other as people. We looked at in class some examples of people not treating each other with harmony or with peace, and that's, laughing at each other, not helping each other, and on a worldwide scale looking at wars and stuff. But if we're looking at examples of people living in harmony or peace with each other, we'll look at helping each other. So think of some examples of how we might treat each other with harmony or peace. The last harmonious relationship we're looking at is that God originally intended us to be at harmony with creation. So in the creation stories, we see that God created the world and asked us to be stewards of it. So this means that we're able to enjoy creation. We do this when we go to the beach. We enjoy creation when we look at the sunsets, when we go camping, but we have to be careful. So we're able to use creation, so for example for food or for developing houses, or we use wood for paper. We use creation, but we need to be able to care for creation too. And we need to be able to develop the goodness in creation. So what are some examples of being at peace with creation? Some people talked about planting trees, carpooling. Have a think now of another few examples. How can people be at peace with creation?